Hi everyone. So, very good evening to all those who have joined in for today's session. Today's session is a very important. As you can see, we are nearing down to CAT-D. Admit cards came out today, so as you can understand, it's time that all of you get absolutely set on what you'll be doing in the last 30 days. It's that crucial juncture of your preparations where it is a do or die kind of a moment, and that is why today's session is going to look at what you should be doing in the last 30 days as far as your preparation strategy is concerned. You'll be covering all the three sections. All the three sections are equally important as far as CAT is concerned. Thanks, Arun. All those who joined in, good evening once again. Today's session is a free session as part of the CAT 100 percentiler free initiative. Request everybody to kindly take out 1-2 minutes to share the session link in various CAT preparation groups and forums so that more and more people can be part of today's free session. It's very important, active as possible. So try to keep it as interactive as questions as you can so that the session is as interactive. All your doubts are getting cleared regarding what you need to do in the last 30 days. All the challenges that you're facing as far as your preparation, asking them using the chat window on the side. So right inside chat window is what you need to use to ensure that all your doubts are getting clarified for each of these sections. Exactly, you need to prepare. Thanks, Arun. Obviously, the 30-second approaches will be helping anybody discussing more about that during the session. So don't worry, we'll be discussing in the course of today's session. So meanwhile, let's get started with the first part. So we break it up section-wise, the last 30 days preparation strategy. The rules are very simple, stay till the very end, keep the session interactive. So on that note, let's get started. Before I start, I've shared the link to the Telegram channel. So please make sure yourself to the Telegram channel, which is in the pin section of the chat window. So pin section of the chat window has the link to the Telegram channel. Please add yourself to it. Now, as we get started, let's start with the first section, that is the VARC section. Now, VARC section has one major challenge this year. What is that? Reduced to 40 minutes, which means your preparation strategy also must be reducing. How do you reduce that? Two things that is very important in RCs this year. As you know, in any RC, the rule is very simple. 70. What is 30-70 rule? 70. What is 30-70 rule? What is 30-70 rule in RCs? Only 30% of the RC passage is important as far as questions. And remember, all your marks are specific to questions, which means the rest 70% of the passage is not important and not worth wasting time in. And given that the time has been being 2/3 and at the same time you're expected to solve, for example, solve 5 RCs, you have to solve RC passages in an average of 6 to 7 minutes, and that is also on the higher side, 6 minutes preferably. So what is important is you eliminate this 70% of an RC passage, focus only on this 30%. How do you do that? Two things that you need to do. The first thing that you need to do, make sure that you're going through the question and options before you start with the passage. Why are you doing that option before you start going to the passage? So that you automatically know that this is that 30% on which there is direct marks. So automatically, even before you start solving, what will happen is you'll be knowing that, okay, fine, this is that 30% on which there is direct marks involved. Remember, 70% of the passage is not related to questions. So that is why going through the questions and options is very important before you start reading the passage. Now, how will that help? Two things that will help, and this is something that you need to follow in the next 30 days. Make sure that every RC passage that you're solving, you're doing it in this fashion. What is that? There are two types of questions that come in our syllabus. One, where they'll give you a particular line, or they'll give you a particular topic and they'll ask you a direct. What do? Simply locate that line and go L minus 3 to L plus 2. Remember, the answer will always be available in these 5 lines. For any RC question, a paragraph, a phrase, just focus on 3 lines before till 2 lines after. The answer will always be part of those 5 lines. Now, what are the challenges that you face in the exam? In the exam, what they'll do is they'll give you 4 options, A, B, C, D. The examiner will plant option C in these 5 lines, and then what the examiner will do is he will plant option B in probably the last paragraph or something. The problem what most of you do is you all tend to read the passage first and then go on to that this line was in the third paragraph. Okay, you read this option and then in the last paragraph you read about, and then in the last paragraph you read about option B. Which one will you remember? You'll remember option B. So what will you end up doing? Marking the answer and getting it incorrect. And this is where it is important, stop focusing on the entire passage. Instead, just focus on these 5 lines. Remember, automatically what it is doing is, you're reading the passage the first time itself, being able to answer the question. Remember, CAT has now become 2/3 of the time, but your number of attempts has to remain the same. अगर मुझे same attempt करना है 2/3 टाइम में, तो मुझे तो कुछ बदलना पड़ेगा ना attempt करने का तरीका. So what you need to do is make sure that when you're reading the passage, फिर question में जाऊंगा, फिर मैं ढूंढूंगा passage में कहाँ पे है वो question. No, पहली बार पढ़ रहे हो, ऑटोमेटिक तुम पहले क्वेश्चंस देख लिए हो, तुमको पता है कि ये क्वेश्चंस है, मिल गया वो लाइन, मार्क करो, देख लो 3 लाइन पहले, 2 लाइन लेटर, these 5 लाइन, ये 5 लाइन पढ़ लो, आंसर मार्क करो, निकल जाओ. इसमें क्या करना है? सिंपल सा चीज है. फर्स्ट पैराग्राफ 2-3 लाइन्स, लास्ट पैराग्राफ का फर्स्ट 2 लाइन्स, लास्ट पैराग्राफ का लास्ट 2 लाइन्स. ये जो 60 लाइन है ना, इसमें हमेशा ऑल दीज क्वेश्चंस ऑन टोन, थीम, सेंट्रल आइडिया, सूटेबल टाइटल छुपा हुआ है. अगेन, क्यों तुम्हारा एक्यूरेसी कम हो जाता है वीआरसी में? यहाँ पे, बट तुम्हें कंफ्यूज करने के लिए कहीं पे पैसेज he'll pick up and he'll put that in the options. Because you were focused on reading the passage, में ऑप्शन सी भी पढ़ा है, ऑप्शन डी भी पढ़ा है, तो ऑटोमेटिकली you will be confused. And that confusion needs to go away. सब लोग कहते हैं ना कि आरसी में ऑप्शंस बहुत क्लोज है, कंफ्यूजिंग है, हमेशा 2 ऑप्शन पे हम अटक जाते हैं. कैसे ये पॉसिबल है कि एग्जामिनर हमेशा तुम्हारे साथ खेल रहा है? सिंपल सा रीजन है, बिकॉज बाकी ऑप्शन से कंफ्यूज हो जाएंगे. रिमेंबर समथिंग, अ वेरी सिंपल रूल. जब तुम एक ऐसे लिखते हो, व्हाट डू यू डू? व्हेन आर यू सपोज्ड टू टॉक अबाउट अ टोन, थीम, सेंट्रल आइडिया और अ सूटेबल टाइटल? व्हेन आर यू सपोज्ड टू डू दैट?